If you're curious about Stoicism, then let me tell you 12 Stoic ideas and how to put them into practice. That's what we're talking about today. Hi, it's Fien. Welcome back to the Boox And More self-help channel, where I'll be sharing stories that intrigue me and that hopefully will move you as well. So this week we're talking about Stoicism, and more specifically we're talking about this book. It's the Daily Stoic. It's written by Ryan Holiday. He's very famous for his ideas about Stoicism. I never heard about Stoicism and the philosophy, but he really got me intrigued because he's very good at reading through all these Stoic principles and translating them to the daily modern life and how to apply them. So it's really because of Ryan Holiday that I started to investigate a bit more in Stoicism, and that's why I would like to discuss this book with you as well, to discuss a couple of Stoic ideas and how to put them into practice. And Ryan is even that good that he talked about a specific principle that I will be talking about today as well. It's the last one actually of the video, and it even made me think so much that I got a tattoo of it. So I'll show you later on, but let's start discussing the book first. So the Daily Stoic, it's called the Daily Stoic because in this book there are 366 Stoic meditations. So per day you have a Stoic principle that is discussed. So luckily this year in 2024 we have the 29th of February, so luckily there's also a Stoic idea on the 29th of February in the book. So but I think it's really interesting to read and really easy to read because you can just pick a day and read something every day to get your ideas flowing. So I think it's a very handy and an interesting book. So how is the book built up? It's actually built up around 3 parts per 4 months. So we have 3 parts that are discussed, and I'll just give you an overview of the ones that are in the book. Part 1 is the discipline of perception. Part 2 is the discipline of action. And part 3 is the discipline of will. And each month also have a specific focus topic or focus point within that part. So the idea for this video is that I will go through the book, and per month I've selected one Stoic idea that I thought was really interesting and I will explain also how to put it into practice. So let's start with January. January, the one path to serenity. Keep this thought at the ready at daybreak, and through the day and night. There is only one path to happiness, and that is in giving up all outside of your sphere of choice, regarding nothing else as your possession, surrendering all else to God and fortune. So, how to apply this in your life, or what does it mean actually? Well, what is meant here is that the Stoics tell us that it's very important for us to distinguish between things that we can control, that we have under our control, and the things that we just simply cannot control. For example, the weather is something you cannot control. So the Stoics in general are telling us is, once you distinguish, this is something under my control, or this is something that is not under my control, then act accordingly. And don't stress out about things that you cannot control. For example, on your wedding day, the weather. You cannot control the weather. So don't worry about the weather because it's only suffering about a topic that you cannot control. Instead, focus on the things you can control. Because if you already know that the weather might not be good and that it will be raining, then there are some things in your control. You can start preparing for rain and make sure that there is enough preparations done so you have a very good wedding day, even when it rains. So focus on the things you can control, and that will make your life easier and create less suffering in you. February. You don't have to have an opinion. We have the power to hold no opinion about a thing and to not let it upset our state of mind, for things have no natural power to shape our judgments. So why are we upset about certain things? Something happens, it's actually something neutral, but we have an opinion about it and we say to ourselves, this is something bad that just happened. And that's why we are worried or depressed or stressed about something that happened and our opinion says is bad. So the Stoics tell us, why just flip your way of thinking and just not have an opinion about something. So they tell us just practice not having an opinion about something or no thoughts about something. And that will give you a less anxious, a less depressed, a more calm and peaceful life. Just let things become irrelevant, because then those things don't have power over you, they become less powerful and they don't impact your life in a bad way. March. The present is all we possess. Were you to live 3,000 years or even a countless multiple of that, keep in mind that no one ever loses a life other than the one they are living, and no one ever lives a life other than the one they are losing. The longest and the shortest life, then, amounts to the same, for the present moment lasts the same for all and is all anyone possesses. No one can lose either the past or the future, for how can someone be deprived of what not theirs? And it's true, the only thing we all possess is today. That's the only thing we have right now all together. And you'll probably have had this moment as well, just like I did. I'm still thinking about the past, things that happened, they still make me angry, they still have an impact on me, but why do we do that to ourselves? And also when I was small, when I was little, when I was 10, I wanted to be 16. When I was 16, I wanted to be 21. When I was 21, 25, and so on. And now I'm a bit older and I just want to be 21 again, right? Why do we do that to ourselves? So what the Stoics are trying to tell us is that yesterday is the past, tomorrow is the future, and today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. I really like that sentence. It's not from the Stoics, but it's related to what they are trying to say here. Is that the only thing that we can really focus on, that we should be focused on, is the moment we have right now. Because the past is the past. We cannot change anything that happened in the past. And the future is the future. Why would we stress out about something that could happen in the future if we are living in this moment and that thing is not even happening yet? So really focus on the moment that you're living right now. Enjoy the moment more, because it's the only thing we are certain of and that we all have. And enjoy every moment, because it will soon become the past. April. If you want to learn, be humble. Throw out your conceited opinions, for it is impossible for a person to begin to learn what he thinks he already knows. So this one I'm guilty of myself as well, because of some topics I think I know a lot and I know everything, which is impossible, but I sometimes think that. And then it becomes very hard to learn anything new. So when you think you know it all, then you're really not open or receptive to learn new things. And the annoying thing is, and I think especially when you're a teacher, is when people tell you, yeah, I want to learn this new thing, please tell me all about it, I want to learn from you. And then when you start teaching them stuff, they act as if they know already everything, and then actually they're not really receptive. That must be super annoying for a teacher. So the Stoics actually say, when you want to learn new things, then stay humble, because as smart as you are, there is always someone else who is smarter than you in a specific domain or an area or just a topic that you know nothing else about. So you can definitely learn something from anyone you meet. There's a quote mentioned as well: every man you meet is your master in some point. So you can definitely learn something new from anyone you meet. So stay open and stay humble to learn new stuff. May. How you do anything is how you do everything. Pay attention to what's in front of you, the principle, the task, or what's being portrayed. So I have a question of you to keep your thoughts going. So if you're walking on the street and you see a soda can on the floor, it's not in a bin, it's close to a bin, but it's just on the floor. What do? Are you the person who picks it up and throws it in the bin? Or are you the person that sees it, that notices it, and that thinks to himself or herself, like, yeah, okay, it's not mine, somebody else will pick it up? What do? Well, the idea here that the Stoics tell is how you do anything is how you do everything. It's probably, if you have the tendency to clean up stuff, clean the soda can up, even if nobody is watching, even if it's not your fault or not your can, and you would still do it, then that is probably how you act in life as well. And it's probably how you do things when no one is watching. So the Stoics actually say all these small things, these small actions, they matter. Because how you show up for the small things is usually how you show up for the big things in life as well. And how you handle today is probably how you will handle tomorrow and all days to come. So small things matter because it can really be the last thing you do. June. Solve problems early. There is no vice which lacks a defense, none that at the outset isn't modest and easily intervened. But after this, the trouble spreads widely. If you allow it to get started, you won't be able to control when it stops. Every emotion is at first weak. Later, it rouses itself and gathers strength as it moves along. It's easier to slow it down than to supplant it. So, this one is actually true. Big problems. So if you have a big problem, then it usually started very small. But if I look at myself, it's also a working point for me. Some small things can happen, but then instead of just tackling it right away, we just wait around. We think it will solve itself, or it's not that big of a deal. And then eventually it evolves into this super huge thing, big problem that seems impossible to solve. So Ryan compares it even to a river, and he says, it's just more easy to cross the river at the source. So the idea of the Stoics here is, if you notice an issue, and when something icky starts, then really try to tackle it from the beginning before it becomes this huge problem that is impossible to solve. July. Turn have to into get to. The task of a philosopher. We should bring our will into harmony with whatever happens, so that nothing happens against our will and nothing that we wish for fails to happen. I thought this was really an interesting idea, especially for perfectionists or somebody who always wants to be responsible. This is really a working point. And really, if you just hear the difference, saying I get to instead of I have to, it really sounds different already, and it feels different already. It's like if you have a to-do list, it's like this checklist with all these little things you have to do. What if you would call it, this is my get-to-do list? This just sounds way more in control, like I have made a decision, or I should feel privileged to be able or to get to do these things. Like, for example, a very classic example, I still have to go to the gym. But do you have to go? No, you don't have to. You get to go. When you say I get to go to the gym, then it really feels like I make this clear decision that I will go to the gym because it's better for my health, I will look better, I will feel better, and it's really a privilege that I have this possibility to go to the gym, to train, to do some sports, and to be in very good health. I get to do that. Just hear the difference and how it feels. And I know this really sounds like a stupid small thing, but it really makes a lot of difference, if I say so myself. August. Perfection is the enemy of action. We don't abandon our pursuits because we despair of ever perfecting them. This one is really very applicable for myself as a perfectionist. So that's why I picked this one, and that's how I usually operate. I think to myself, I don't know stuff very well. I don't know enough. If I do something, then it will not be good enough. Just like with this channel, I'm just starting up, and I really procrastinated a lot before starting, actually, because I always was thinking, my audio is not that good, my video is not that good, my lighting is not that good, I'm not good at talking, I say a lot. Why would I even start? Because it's not going to be perfect. That's really what happens when we are a bit of a perfectionist and we talk ourselves out of things. That's why we procrastinate, because we think it will never be good enough. And that's really the all or nothing, the black and white thinking. Like, if I do something, then it needs to be 100% perfect, or I won't start, or something happened and it was not a complete success, so it's a complete failure. That type of thinking, that's what's going on here. And the Stoics say, let's just go for pragmatism, because pragmatism is different. It says, like, just be pragmatic, just start with what you have or what you know, and start from there and then see where it goes and learn along the way. So to conclude, the Stoics say, our pursuits should be aimed to progress, not to perfection. September, preparing on the sunny day. Here's a lesson to test your mind's mettle. Take part of a week in which you have only the most meager and cheap food, dress scantily in shabby clothes, and ask yourself if this is really the worst that you feared. It is when times are good that you should gird yourself for tougher times ahead. For when fortune is kind, the soul can build defenses against her ravages. So it is that soldiers practice maneuvers in peacetime, erecting bunkers with no enemies in sight and exhausting themselves under no attack so that when it comes, they won't grow tired. So this one is an interesting one as well, and they actually tell us like when things are really going very well, then don't rest on your laurels, but start thinking about things, the worst case scenarios, and how you can prepare even when times are good. And that's what they mention as well with the soldiers. That's what they do in the army. They just try to think of every possible scenario that can happen and work it out and how they would react, how they would respond, and really recreate these scenarios so they are prepared for when the worst thing would happen. It's like when you have a company as well. If you think standing still is really going backwards, when you have a company and it goes really well, then you could think like, oh, we should just keep going because this is working. But then you're not becoming aware of what is happening in the world, the economy, other companies, or certain competitors that are starting doing the same or doing better than you. If you're not prepared for all those things, then you will lose in the end. So also when you have a company, then it's important when it's going good and in good times that you also be prepared for worse times, for competitors and so on. So keep that in mind and prepare even when times are good. October. Revenge is a dish best not served. The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that. How much better to heal than seek revenge from injury? Vengeance wastes a lot of time and exposes you to many more injuries than the first that sparked it. Anger always outlasts hurt. Best to take the opposite course. Would anyone think it is normal to return a kick to a mule or a bite to a dog? If you have the feeling like someone did you wrong or they talked behind your back and they talked bad about you, well, the best thing you could do is not react and not be like them and not be like that. Not do the same thing. It's also in the Bible, like something with the cheeks, right? If somebody slaps you on one cheek, just give them the other cheek. That's actually what the Stoics mean as well. Because, for example, if we look at the other option, if somebody is talking bad about you behind your back and you do the same, then actually you prove them right. You prove to them that they actually were right to talk bad about you behind your back. And that's not what we want, of course. Instead, the Stoics say, try to be an example of virtue, kindness, and goodness in the world to other people, even when they've done you wrong. November, accepting what is. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. So the last two ones, like November and December, are really my favorite Stoic principles. So this one is also an interesting one. That it's actually the principle amor fati, which means love your faith. It's not just accept your faith, but it's love your faith. So when something happens, something bad happens to you, and it was a coincidence or it was not your fault, what do you do then? Well, you can be angry, sad, annoyed, you can blame other people for it, but what will that solve or what will that do for you? Will that really help your situation or will that make you feel better? That's not really the right way to go. What the Stoics say is accept what is, accept what happened, and then you have this choice to react. You can choose how you will react to this fact that happens. So accept it, accept what happened, and they take it even a step further and they say not just accept it, but also love what happened. Love your faith, amor fati. And with that they mean just look at things when they happen, accept them because you cannot change it anymore. It happened, so that's a fact. You cannot ignore that. But also love it, and love it in the sense that be grateful for it to have happened. Because their ideas, some of the worst things that can happen to you, if you look at it from another point of view or in hindsight, you'll probably see that it was the best thing that ever happened to you. So for example, when a bit of a strange example, but some people when they get cancer, for example, it's really an eye-opener for them. Like, what is important in my life? What am I even doing today? And do I want to do that? And am I surrounded by the right people? So for some, it's really the best thing that happened to them, so they can change up their life and yeah, hopefully they get better, of course, but it can be really the best thing that happens to you. So just accept when something happens, because you cannot change it anymore, and try to love it as well. Love your faith and be grateful for what happened. December. Pretend today is the end. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. This is really my favorite quote, my favorite idea of the book, not only of the book of Stoicism. And it's what I talked about in the intro. When I heard Ryan Holiday talk about it the first time, about this principle, it really got so much in my head, because it's such a big reminder to myself, that I got a tattoo from it. And it's actually this idea of, I don't know if you can see it, memento mori, which means just know that you will die. So that's really what the Stoics say. Just know that any moment, any day can be your last. So what are you doing actually? And try to enjoy that moment. Live each day as if it's your last. And think about it. Are you, the things you're doing right now, is that really what you want to do? And the people you are surrounded with, are those really the people that you want to spend your potential last day with? And what the Stoics don't mean, because that's also a remark that I get sometimes, like, oh yeah, it can be my last day, so why not go drink and party and screw things over? That's not what they mean with live as if it's your last day. They really say, like, look at what is important in your life and make sure that you are focusing on the important stuff. It's, for example, there is an example in the book, like a soldier that has to go to a foreign country to fight for the country. What will the soldier do? He knows he has to leave. He will clean up his things. He will talk to the family and say he loves them. Make sure that all business is handled and that there's nothing left unhandled before he leaves. Of course, he's hoping to get back soon and safe, but he's just prepared that there is a chance that that won't be the case. And then in that case, he knows there is nothing left on the table or nothing left unsaid or undone. And that's what memento mori is about. Just know that you will die someday, maybe sooner than expected. So just be aware to live your life and focus on the things that are important. So these are, of course, only 12 ideas of the 366 that are in the book of Ryan Holiday. So I really recommend, if you like this type of thinking and if you like to learn more about Stoicism, to pick any book, really. But this is a good starter, I think, from Ryan Holiday, the Daily Stoic. To learn more about Stoicism. But he has other books as well that dive deeper into specific subjects. So really, if you're into that, I will also post a shorts later on that explains a bit what Stoicism is, because that's not what we talked about today. But that's it for today. I'm very curious to learn what Stoic idea you picked up from this, what you found a good idea, or if you will apply something in your life. Or maybe you already heard about Stoicism and you have some ideas around it, or you're already applying it. Feel free to add anything in the comments that you want to share. And if you enjoyed this video, I trust that you give this one a thumbs up, a like, that you maybe share it with other people for whom this could be of interest as well. And then that's it for today. So I hope to see you again next week. If you want to learn about more stories or more books, then subscribe. Of course, you can always subscribe for more videos on Sunday. And then I see you next week. I see you next Sunday. Bye.